From Across the Frontiers by Werner Heisenberg. Not only is the universe stranger than we think, it is stranger than we can think.
Welcome back to the Reading Room Ruffians, your favorite library podcast. We discuss books we've read, tell you about our upcoming programs, and throw a few guest speakers in for some flavor. This is Mallory, and today I am distraught because my spiciest BFF Ariel is away from me. But our supreme overlord Carla is here.
I have no idea what to say now because there was nothing crazy said to begin with.
We are recording from our library in Jackson County, West Virginia. Zach, a real boy, is joining us from Seattle, Washington.
I am a real boy.
Today we're discussing In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune. But before we do, we wanted to switch things up a little bit. So again, thank you for listening in on another episode of Reading Room Ruffians. You can find our Facebook group by searching Reading Room Ruffians Podcast, which is linked to our Facebook's library Facebook page at facebook.com/Jackson County Library WV. You should absolutely follow us on TikTok and Instagram at WVJCO Library and give our podcast Goodreads page a gander, which we'll have linked in our episode description along with our personal Goodreads pages. As always, please share us and give us any feedback you can find and have. We would love to hear feedback and interaction from you guys. So here we go into In the Lives of Puppets.
So, first thing, did we all finish it?
I
did not, and I tried really, really hard, but I got started late. But I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to finish it.
I have 4 hours left. Yeah, I'm just over, definitely over the halfway point, but I really love it so far.
I mean, from what I've listened to, I would highly recommend it.
I was going to say, let the record show everybody that they didn't finish my book, and I finished all of their books, so...
I know.
Just
I'm
not
sorry.
cool, but it's okay.
I didn't have it. I had to steal your Audible account to even get it.
I'm going to be real honest. I forgot that was this week. I don't know. Nothing that is happening this week, if that makes sense. I know it doesn't, but my brain is just like, no, it's next week. We're fine. And then I was like, oh no, it's Monday, and that is this week. So I started on Monday. Yeah.
Well, overall, so I did finish the book. I actually stayed up later last night to finish it all the way because I was almost done yesterday, and then I was like, not quite.
Okay.
So I had to stay up a little bit.
I feel less bad because I didn't get it till yesterday.
Well, that's the way it goes. Anyway, I thought it was a pretty good book. I didn't like it as much as T.J. Klune's other books. I know Ariel loved it.
Yeah.
She's part of the reason why I picked this one out as opposed to my other book that I was going to pick, so...
Yeah, she definitely did love it, and I know that she's super upset that she can't be on this discussion, so we'll probably talk a little bit about it next week, too. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. You can probably do that.
Yeah. But, I like it a lot. I haven't finished it completely. It is kind of different. I feel like it's a little bit more dark than the other two, like... I don't know. It's not super dark or anything. It just kind of feels really, really sad. Like,
oh my gosh.
Compared to the other two that are like, they're more like pull at your heartstrings. Like this one feels, I don't know. It feels a little bit more sad.
Okay, now I'm afraid.
It's not like bad so far anyway. It just is like, I feel a lot more for this book. I don't even know how to explain that really. It's a different kind of feel from his other two books.
When I first started listening, I thought, oh, this is a really cute little kid's book.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, it is not a kid's book.
No. Yeah. I will say though, I think I kind of wish I had read the book physically. I love this guy's voice. I've listened to other narrations by him, but I am not a fan of Rambo's voice. I don't know what it is. It's just, it kind of gets me a little bit.
It's annoying, but I think it fits that character.
It does. It's one of those things, like in the beginning of the book, I really struggled with like listening, and I was like, I just need to like skip forward a little bit. Obviously I didn't, but yeah, it's finally growing on me, and I don't know if that's because the character is kind of growing as well or what, but Yeah, it's not as bad as it was in
She's
the beginning.
the only one that's ever had that name.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was a good line. It really was.
I know. It's like,
It's a very, very cute book. I love all of the characters. I do like Nurse Ratched.
I love
God,
her.
I love
She's
her so
she's one of my favorites.
She's fantastic. I don't think that you've gotten to Hap yet, but Hap
Yeah,
is,
yeah, Hap.
you have? Okay, yeah.
Hap's in there. I've met Hap.
So I can tell you, well, first of all, I should probably say what the book is about. Basically, the idea is that there is a robotic man, an android, if you will, who lives in the middle of a forest, and he is given a child by a couple.
A human child.
A human child, yeah, by a couple who is escaping from something. We don't know what. And he raises the child as his own. The parents said they were going to come back. They never do. He teaches the kid how to do bunches of like repairs and stuff like that for machines, using a bunch of different scraps and stuff like that. The boy repairs actually two separate little machines. Well, one's a little machine, it's a vacuum named Rambo, and the other one is a nurse robot called Nurse Ratched. And
she is something else.
She is something else. She's pretty fun. And it ends up being that they all go to this scrapyard at one point and find another robot named, well, they call him Hap. And it's basically about what happens after they find him and all their interactions out in the woods and with other things that I'm not going to spoil.
Yep. Yeah, it's, I'm not going to lie, I really was expecting legitimate puppets. So whenever I didn't quite get it, I was like, when are the puppets coming in? I don't understand. This is kind of like that Medusa is on the cover, but she's not in the book. That was like, it didn't upset me nearly as bad because once it was said, what is it?
Hysterically angry puppet?
Hysterically angry puppet.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's that part. They also mention a few other things later in the books about puppets. I think it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
I get what they're getting at, but
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it finally kind of clicked for me there. I was like, oh, okay, well, all right. That's fair, I guess.
It makes more sense later. It does make more sense later. It's still a stretch.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I really like it so far. I was a little bit stressed out. I don't want to ruin anything for Carla. So
no, go ahead, because I was the one that was slow and didn't read it. I'm going to finish it.
We got to the house, the weird house, and that was like from there. I was like, I don't think I like what's happening here, and I realized, I just got to the part where the house guy has figured out what is going on. So that's like where I'm at without ruining it for you.
Okay, that took me a minute to figure out what in the world you were even talking about, the house guy, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to ruin it because like whenever they started describing him, I was like, oh, that's what this is. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, Hap is still learning to be, he's just like, he's still learning how to interact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would make a really cute movie. I really think it would make it like even if it's an animated movie, I think it would be really, really cute. Although it's not a kid's movie.
No. Yeah, I think animated would be better for this one. I think you could do a lot more with
the robots.
Yeah, it would be really, really fun too. I would like that a lot.
Although they did number 5, wasn't they did him fine, so maybe they could pull off the robot.
Maybe. I don't know. There are just so many different kinds of robots. I think that's like animated would be better.
Yeah, it probably would be. Honestly, it feels like for some parts of it, they could do like you guys ever seen Howl's Moving Castle?
Yes.
Okay, so the interior of Howl's Moving Castle, especially in his room, there's some stuff in there like that. I don't know, I think a Ghibli film would be great for this. Studio Ghibli should do it. That'd be fun. I don't think they're going to, but it'd be neat.
That's a good idea.
All right, so it's going to be difficult to discuss some of the better stuff or the more important stuff, I think, in the book.
I mean, don't worry about spoiling it for me.
I'm not talking about spoiling. I'm talking about it's like you haven't like read those parts. So like I think the main stuff in the book that I had issues with, or like I guess themes of the book, are more thought out later. So I don't know. I'm trying to think about how to go about this.
We can just make it up.
Sure.
Give us a summary. And we will give you our opinions.
Oh, I mean, you guys want an actual, like, somewhat spoilery summary? Not too spoilery.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
It's not...
Because we're the ones that didn't get it done in time, and I'm going to finish it regardless.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Me too.
For the listeners, if you have not read this book and you don't want to be spoiled, It was great that you came here. I'm going to spoil most of it. You can skip
Pause
ahead a
here.
little bit if you want to.
Pause here, read the book, and then come back.
That's probably a better thing. Do that. All right. So basically what happens is at the end of part 1, the dad, Geo, gets kidnapped, right?
I knew something like that was going to happen.
Yeah, he gets
it's like,
kidnapped.
I'm thinking, oh, no.
And he essentially commits suicide, sort of, right?
See, I was afraid. You want me to tell you what I was afraid of? I was afraid that something would happen to him and Hap would have become so human that he would give up his own heart.
That is not what has happened.
Okay, good. So I don't have to worry about that part anyway.
No.
So we lose both of them.
No.
Give it to Giovanni.
It's got a happy ending. The whole book has is a very happy ending. It takes a little bit.
Okay.
And all of these books have been happy endings. He's got that other set that is not necessarily.
Yeah.
But this one, so Dad gets kidnapped and dies. You think his memory's getting wiped. I mean, this is one of those things that's like, I get where they're getting at to like build suspense or whatever, or make you think but it's TJ Klune, so you know everything's going to be fine in the end. So I wasn't convinced. Yeah. Anyway, so Hap and, let me step back a second. They burn down the entire home area. They're basically, they find some other robots because what's his face? Vic gets cut in the scrapyard. Some robots come. They find the blood. They track him down. They kidnap Geo and then burn down the house. Right? You find out that Vic is actually, he was not left there as a kid. He was created by Geo in a lab underneath the ground house.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Yeah, that was what I was telling you about.
Yeah. So, again, not a huge spoiler. It doesn't really matter for this part. Anyway, so everybody decides that they're going to go try to find him. They run into this other guy on the way there, another robot who has he's got a house that's essentially a museum of relics from when the humans were around. He captures them, puts them in a museum, finds out that Vic is human, and then decides to go help them go recover Geo. They go to the City of Electric Dreams, meet up with the, what's it called? The Blue...
Fairy.
Fairy, yes. I think it's the Blue Fairy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they meet up with the Blue Fairy, and he is, or it is, just like kind of kooky crazy, but it does end up helping him because it's very interested in the fact that Vic is... he was created by Geo, and that he's basically the last human on the planet and has been for several hundred years. There's been no humans. They took them all out. And eventually they all get smuggled into the city and go save Geo from wherever he was, give him a new heart, and he eventually remembers everything, and they live happily ever after, effectively.
I love.
So, I mean... As soon as they like started doing this stuff, I personally called basically all of that stuff. Not like, the stuff with the museum person or whatever, but all the rest of it, it's fairly straightforward. You expect it's going to happen because it's TJ Klune, and you know that nothing bad could actually happen in this book. Right?
Yeah.
Nothing really bad. They fake you out a lot.
Yeah, I was actually pretty convinced that that they were going to be stuck in that house for at least a little bit longer than they were.
Oh, yeah. I definitely thought it was going to be at least more than, it was less than a chapter.
Yeah. He was. I was expecting a little bit more because it was pretty nefarious. And I was like, I don't like this. I don't like how we're setting this up. I don't like it. But yeah, it turned out fine.
Yep, so that's what the book was like. That's what happens in it. The main things I didn't like about it was, so it talks about Vic a lot and how he's ace, and that's cool and stuff. Don't really mind it too much. I thought that the jokes that they made around that were kind of just cringy after a while. They were kind of funny at first, but my gosh, Nurse Ratched just is always doing the worst sort of comedy with that, making fun of him and stuff. And then also, it was just the Blue Fairy, that whole section was very much about vice and giving into stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it was all about effectively people and robots and everybody just boning all the time.
Ew.
That's what the entire thing was. It was basically a brothel. That's what the Blue Fairy ran. Was effectively a robot brothel.
Well, okay.
And they talk about sexuality a lot, and the Blue Fairy is just very strange.
Yeah.
You'll see when you get there. But it was just like all the stuff. Like, I got what they were trying to, like, say, but it was very, very ham-fisted and, like,
Yeah.
just telling you things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like,
I kind of was wondering if oh gosh, what's his name? The curator or whatever, if he was going to be something like that, because it kind of felt like in the Marvel movies, whenever they Marvel, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, the collector there, it kind of felt like that, and I was wondering if that was what he was going to be essentially.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess he kind of was, but he wasn't terrible, actually. So yeah, that was, so it kind of sounds like the Blue Fairy is going to be more kind of like that-ish on that road.
the Blue Fairy is strange. That entire section was a little bit difficult to follow what was going on.
Yeah.
I thought. And it's the coachman is the guy who...
Yeah, coachman, yeah. Curator, whatever. It started with a C.
Yeah. He's the guy who has the museum and captures him.
Yeah, he kind of sounds like I originally thought it was like a traveling circus, because like the loud music and all that stuff, but and how he was described, he really just sounded like a ringleader, like a circus ringleader.
Yeah,
but, yeah. Coachman was what he called himself. All in all, it's pretty interesting, like seeing.
I'm liking it so far.
Yeah, how and they talk a lot about how when humans kept remaking robots, every single time that we tried to remake them, they became a little bit more human and able to see that humans were really just like not gonna fix anything. So
they took it upon themselves.
Yeah, they really did. Yeah, which is, we've done Scythe, which was the AI it took over the world, but it didn't kill everybody. And this is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. It's
which is the more normal end of the spectrum.
Yeah, it is.
Which blows my mind. If we expect AI to take over and turn evil and kill us all, and yet we keep...
My thing is, though, is it really evil if it's like you guys are like ruining everything? Is it actually evil? I don't know. That's an interesting point.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's punishment.
No. Yeah.
For like a few.
Agreed.
A few people.
Yeah, so. And that's been said a couple of times in the book as well. But yeah, for me, it's pretty cool to look at how they talk about themselves evolving and feeling and becoming more human, and it's kind of cool.
Like a weird animal form.
I get what you're going with that. It's sort of, but not really. I mean, it's the same sort of premise where, like, in Animal Farm, they basically just become the humans, and then they like are just as bad, right? In this, it's similar, but they think that it's going to be a different sort of issue going forward because they all just stop like evolving or whatever. They just stop becoming more. And because they're all quote-unquote perfect, I mean, they say that in the book, and then you just meet all these characters who are clearly not.
Yeah. It's
going to cause issues in the long run. Nothing can, like, be permanent with that, effectively. Something will go wrong, or they'll just run out of... They didn't really explain why it would be, but they said that because we're perfect, the society can just never last, is what they said. Which sounded good in the book, and now, like, in retrospect, I don't really get what they were talking about. I'm like, but that doesn't make sense, though, guys.
I think maybe because they're perfect, they shouldn't last. I don't know. Maybe that's what they meant. We as humans, we're not perfect, and we've lasted, like, a pretty long time. Maybe they think
have nothing to strive for.
Yeah.
Because humans are, like, imperfect.
Yeah.
We're constantly doing things to make things...
better or worse.
In our mind.
Yeah.
We're also impermanent. We die eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. And they don't.
Yeah, so they say they have they have no reason to accomplish anything or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they don't have finite time. They've got, in their minds, essentially infinity, so what's the point of trying, to do something more or to strive for something? Because you've got all the time in the world.
Yeah, that's a
concept in itself.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's a concept I've never really understood that much. Like, I mean, maybe I would get, like, bored or stop doing stuff or stop trying to improve after, a couple thousand years or so, but at that point, stuff's probably all different, so I don't know. I've never actually understood that argument. Maybe some people it's true.
I would have one heck of a rock collection.
Yeah. It's kind of, and it was like, they know that they're around for a pretty long time, but eventually their I guess their not their intelligence, but like what makes them up, like their power usage, just kind of runs out. And like some of them have talked about it, and it's referenced like, oh, eventually my power source will die, and so will I. But they definitely have a way longer lifespan than we would.
We're talking on the order of at least thousands of years, is what I'm guessing for a lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this, since I haven't read the whole. The scrappy, what happens? Are those the robots from that same time period, or this is like a long time ago, or what? Where do they come from? I mean, because Hap was not even totally,
I think,
dead. I guess,
but they didn't still have a battery for him or anything like that, and they couldn't find anything.
Yeah, but he wasn't. Well, he was still had power when they found him.
Yeah.
So, how long had he been there? It's like,
he was just dropped off there. I'm pretty sure recently.
Yeah, I think it was like a fairly recent thing.
So they kill each other?
I think so.
Okay.
Like, because they say he was decommissioned. So, like, obviously something
death row?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So either, like, he had some, like, a bug or faulty something or other. But do they go into that at all in the rest of the book?
A little bit. They do a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he specifically was decommissioned, yes.
Cool.
And you find out later about it in with the blue fairy.
All right. It's pretty cool.
But, I mean,
I was just thinking.
No, I mean, it makes sense why he was decommissioned. He's different.
Yeah. So he was, like, if they're perfect, then why would they decommission somebody?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's like, that's what I'm not getting. Maybe it's probably because I haven't read the rest of the book, but I mean, that's
no.
It's
because this guy's an anomaly, right? There's something anomalous about this one. The same thing with Geo. Same thing with a bunch of the other ones. In fact, there's a whole section of the city or book or whatever that has a bunch of robots that are just like begging for things, and clearly they're not well for some reason. So the whole perfection thing doesn't make any sense in the first place.
Okay.
And there's definitely like pop propaganda like being played through the speakers, and it's like, why is that necessary at all?
Yeah, and I think it was also really interesting how they've mentioned it a couple of times before, but how Vic's blood is fairly important and why Geo and Hap are different after having some of his blood.
Yeah, something about the organic versus mechanical part of it makes them different, and no, they don't say why.
Okay. See, I was wondering because it has been mentioned, and I heard it earlier, that it's, I don't know, a theory or something among some of the robots. Like Geo had the theory that it was essentially the human blood is responsible for like all of the memories of everyone before.
Yeah, genetic memory type stuff.
Which I thought was pretty cool. So if you do that in a robot, does that mean it's getting more humanity than they've already evolved without it? And that's why they're like extra bad to the robot people, like that are in charge or whatnot.
You're saying that the robot people in charge might have some of the human blood, and that's why it's making them more human. Again, akin to Animal Farm. Interesting.
Yeah. I kind of wondered if it was, and they didn't want, because I think if you really, I don't know, I haven't finished the book, but I wonder if that is something along those lines. And because Geo was manufactured, or not Geo, because Vic was manufactured how he was, I feel like he would be a little bit more pure and so good. And so if they do in the City of Electric Dreams, if they had like previous blood from like powerful people, it would probably be like a little bit more corruptible or corrupted. I don't know, maybe.
I like this theory.
Yeah. And they don't obviously they don't want the good to over. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of cool to think about. It's different.
Where did he get the building blocks to assemble it?
I don't know.
I mean, where did that go? Does it say?
Yes, it does say eventually.
Okay. Okay.
He's not like assembled like a machine. He's grown in a vat, right?
Yeah,
I kind of figured that, but I mean, it's like, where's the original
blueprint?
DNA?
Did he have to put some in the harps in order to get them to track down humans? Probably, maybe. I
love it.
I got my own scientific theories going.
Now, I think there was one human egg left, and they gave it to Geo. Other robots gave it to Geo when he left the city.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's what because the coachman says that's what he was protecting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so actually now that you guys are talking about this a little bit more and you're theory crafting here, this stuff is a lot more interesting than what actually happens.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea of the human blood corrupting people, because it does towards a good way in Geo and Hap, but it would be a lot more interesting if it was in a bad way also with the other ones. But you don't actually meet any of the authority, so...
Yeah. I almost wonder if, like, he set it up that way for you to think about stuff like that. Because usually books like this do make me think really wild stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know why.
Do you think they really actually set it up, or it just...
No, I think it just happens. I really do.
Maybe.
I think so too, because it's like a lot of times when you analyze like the classic literature and then you talk to the author, it's like, no, that was not my intention. It just, that's the way it worked out.
That's fair. That's very fair.
I don't know. I mean, maybe there was like some kind of hinting towards that, but I think sometimes it just happens.
Having read the other TJ Klune books and some stuff about author interviews with him, I don't think that's the case for this book. I don't think he's like really the best about world building because it's not really his focus. Like, he'll just throw stuff in there that doesn't make sense. I guess it's just for some flavor, but then it's inconsistent with the rest of the book. Like, the ship that they come on is a giant whale, effectively.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And there's no reason for that to be. Apparently, there's only like one of those. And it's called the Incredible Dogfish or something like that.
Or the Terrifying?
The Terrible Dogfish?
Like terrible,
yeah. It's the Terrible Dogfish or something like that. And there's only one. They only mention one city, and I'm pretty sure it's Vegas, the city of electric dreams.
No, yeah.
And that's all that is in the world at all, it sounds like, which is strange to me.
At one point, didn't they stop? I don't know if they actually stopped. They were in the desert. And it was mentioned that where they were was like Toyland or something like that.
Yep.
Where all of the toy robots went whenever they became defective at first. So maybe was that fairly close to the City of Electric Dreams?
It's difficult to say. So I think it was within 100 miles, but I can't tell exactly how far it was because the distances are a little strange. Apparently, the house that he's in moves pretty quickly. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It was a little unclear to me.
It's the island of misfit toys.
That's exactly. I was like expecting Rudolph to show up. I'm not joking. I was like, is Rudolph going to be here?
Well, they talked about like the mechanical dinosaurs like trying to attack children, and I was like, you know what? That's like in Nightmare Before Christmas. Whenever they make the Halloween like Christmas toys, they look terrifying. That's all I could picture. I was like, oh my god, that made me laugh a lot, really. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool too, because they were like, "Oh, I guess I get it," because the humans did want to protect their progeny, but it's just also like, well, they became defective because they were just evolving. So whose fault is it really? Whatever. But yeah,
the original coder. That's
yeah.
As somebody just goofed up on that, I was like, "Oh no, there's an overflow error," and then the dinosaur eats a person.
Yeah.
Oops.
Whoopsie daisy.
And then it's like, and then all I could think of was like, oh man, I bet me and Ariel would have loved some defective dinosaurs so we could just stick them on people.
Oh, 100%. That would be dope.
Okay, there's the little stuff. I knew it had to be here somewhere.
Yeah, no, I feel like this is the sort of book you cannot look too deeply into it because as soon as you start, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's not super consistent. What TJ Klune is good at is characters.
Yes.
I mean, they're usually overly sweet, or they pretend like they have flaws or whatever, but they're really just overall very nice, kind characters, and it's all very feel-good, cozy stuff. It's great.
Even Nurse Ratched is like hysterical.
Yeah, she's very funny.
Yeah, Nurse Ratched is very good.
Protocol.
Rambo is just an agent of chaos. He just does stuff.
Yeah.
And ruins everything a lot, so that's pretty fun. But he comes through at times. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like, should I sedate him? And the mallet goes back inside.
Yeah.
The casing.
That's goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how they really feel like a found family, and I love that. I mean, they are. It is a found family thing. But yeah. It feels nice because they still kind of bicker, but it's always resolved, and it's nice.
Yeah, no, this is very, very, it's a very cozy book. I mean, it's not as cozy as his other books. I still like the other two better. Under the Whispering Door and
House on the Cerulean Sea.
House in the Cerulean Sea, I absolutely adored. I love that book so much. It was so cute. I love the setting. I love the characters. It was just
Agreed.
fun.
Yeah.
But DJ Klune does great stuff with Found Family and great stuff with just character development and building. And it's just, if you want a nice little cozy book, that's where you can go and get something out of those 3 books. I think this is the weakest one just because he tried to branch out a little bit too much and was a little bit ham-fisted with stuff. But
yeah,
the rest of it was very good. Oh, one thing I did want to talk about. Apparently, he was not super happy with this version of the book.
Mm.
There was another version?
Well, there were references to Vic being autistic or on the spectrum, right? And basically, he had 3 sensitivity readers read the book, and 2 of them really liked the way that he was treated, about the fact that he was on the spectrum and just like references to that. And just, they said there was a very realistic way of somebody being portrayed in a book. And one other person like hated it and thought it was the worst ever and should not be published.
What?
So the publisher ended up going with that person and made him remove all references to autism from the book. And he was very upset about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, that kind of makes a lot more sense now.
Oh, no, yeah. You can still tell that he's on the spectrum if you pay attention, right? Just the way he reacts with emotions and stuff. Like, you could play it both ways. You could say that it's because he's on the spectrum or because he's just a kid who's only had robots as friends and has been isolated his entire life. So, I mean, it could be column A, column B, you know? But Gio was a pretty great dad, so I'm betting, especially with some of the other stuff, people could definitely read it, that he's on the spectrum. Has trouble speaking, gets overwhelmed by things sometimes, and just shuts down effectively. I mean, it's reasonable.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot more sense. Like, I mean, I kind of just knocked it off as he's really only had Geo and Nurse Ratched and Rambo. And so, like, you know, meeting all these new people and all these new happenings, like, and even it's like, yeah, you're the only human in this bunch of robots. I feel like it would be pretty, like, I don't know, pretty hard to deal with.
I use that term loosely.
Yeah.
Would have trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have trouble.
Yeah, somebody who's not neurotypically divergent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't neurodivergent. Somebody who's not neurodivergent would also have troubles. But I do see what they're getting at here. I think it would have been a nice little character thing if they would have actually talked about it a little bit more. And I would hope, now I'm not positive, obviously, because I'm not a member of the autism community, but I would hope that, like, seeing that sort of representation in a book would be better. I mean, obviously not everybody's going to be happy about this. I'm sure not all the people were happy with the fact that he was ace or how he was treated in that way. But the dude did a lot of research into this stuff because he cares about those sorts of things. Yeah. And I don't know, I feel like it shouldn't have been removed, personally.
You know,
I agree.
There is a huge movement in literature to be inclusive, to have people with different and varying abilities to be represented in books. So I think it's a pretty sad state that we're in right now, where one dissenting voice can stop everything. Yeah,
especially since this he's a well-known author now. I mean, you'd think he would have a little bit more clout to do this. I'm betting he just didn't push back hard enough, or I don't know. Maybe it's just something under his contract. He just couldn't do anything.
Maybe.
But it is unfortunate. I'm guessing they just were worried about it not selling well or being controversial.
Everything's controversial.
Yeah, I mean, everything's controversial. His other books, I'm sure, were controversial because they have non-heterosexual relationships in them, you know?
Yep.
Oh, that's a big one. Yep.
Yeah.
People are crazy.
They're just so wholesome, though.
They are so wholesome. It's so cute. Everything's cute about his books, and I love them.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first one I've ever read.
You should read the other two.
If this is the weaker one, I can't imagine how much I would like the other ones, because I like this one.
Yeah.
I would read them in Lives of Puppets. I guess first, that you're already reading it. I think I'd do Under the Whispering Door next, and then House in the Cerulean Sea. Personally, I don't know. Yeah,
that's the order in which they get happy-go-luckiest. That's definitely, I mean, there are definitely elements in all 3 of them that are undertones are pretty sad, but especially Under the Whispering Door, I feel like is beautifully handled. It handles like death in the afterlife. And then House on the Cerulean Sea is basically outcasts and what happens when you shun people who aren't like you. And it's, all of them are perfectly, I think, handled with their situations. This one, well, I haven't finished this one, but the other two definitely for sure. And I think this one is a pretty good representation of found family being completely different from you. And like, what if you are the only one? Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of...
See, that would bother me. To find that I was the only human left.
Yeah.
Even though you have friends, that would stick with me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how he handles it. I haven't done.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering about that, because they don't really talk about it at the end of the book, I'm guessing because it just wasn't the focus. But given the advancement of technology, I would expect that they could do something to bring back the humans. But... maybe not? I don't know. It's difficult to say because they've only got, to people's knowledge, there's only Vic, and he is, well, obviously a dude.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you had it the other way around, if you had a woman, it would be, I think, a lot more straightforward. But
I think so too, yeah.
You'd have to you'd have to find an egg that would actually divide, but you could pull out 2 X chromosomes from Vic.
Just have duplicates?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Yeah, I don't know how it would work, really. I mean... they've got to the point where the AI is advanced enough that they can make people who are effectively indistinguishable from humans, except much more skilled and much smarter at times. You know, they should be able to figure this out if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But again, not the focus of the book. I think this one was mostly just about, it's obviously got the family aspect, and accepting that you're different. It's also about moving on from your past, effectively, that your past actions don't necessarily determine who you are now.
Yeah,
effectively.
That's definitely,
That's a huge component of it, because especially with Hap later on, with what happens with him, it very much strongly becomes that sort of thing.
Yeah, I kind of figure that he's a huge part in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
later.
totally.
Cool. Yeah,
kind of gave me that Universal Soldier vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not inaccurate.
Yeah.
As soon as he Geo sees him the first time, I immediately thought that he was like some sort of soldier or death robot or something like that.
Yeah. I did too. That's what I was trying to figure out, like what the letters meant. And I knew that it was missing some, but I didn't know how many. And then it was like harp. I was like, well, I wouldn't have picked that out anyway. So I don't know why I tried.
Yeah, I don't think I would have picked out harp. I definitely wouldn't have picked out what it actually stands for. So
I know, yeah, me either.
Mainly because it sounds like a backronym and it's pretty bad. But
yeah,
the premise is interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not a horribly angry puppet or whatever it was. Like horrendously angry. What was I can't remember.
I think it's a hysterically angry puppet.
Hysterically angry. Yeah.
Hysterically. That was another one of those. It's kind of
hilarious.
It's kind of almost also like the romance aspect of it is like the grumpy and sunshine, which I don't know if anybody else loves that stuff, but that was probably one of my favorites. It's like he's just scowling the whole time, but he like Vic is like the sunshine. It's like just so cute.
Yeah, let me see here. I feel like there was something else I wanted to bring up here about the book. Aside from the fact that the world building didn't make any sense to me, it was inconsistent. This is actually a big nitpick I have for a lot of books, or they don't go into why very much, and that's just because I want to know why, or I want to know how things work.
Yeah.
This was my big issue with Don't Tell Ariel, but I had an issue with Piranesi, and it's basically how everything worked. And I tried to talk about this in my other book clubs, and nobody wanted to talk to me about it.
She's going to hear this in the podcast. I knew it!
I'm going to preface this by the fact that I really do like Piranesi. I thought it was a fantastic book. It was very interesting, intriguing. The ending was not great. I'll admit that. I did like the book. I didn't hate it like she did. I think she was just dissatisfied with the ending, honestly.
Yeah. It's like if it doesn't go her way, she could be like, I don't like this.
Yeah, it just depends. Let's see here. The humor, like I said, it was kind of cringy at times and sometimes pretty funny. It just depended. It felt weird that it was like that kind of humor in what is most of the time, I'm not even going to say more of a serious book. It just didn't feel like the humor in his other stuff. But apparently that's a lot more akin to what happens in his like Wolf Song books.
Yeah.
Like they're a lot more serious and a lot more, I I don't know, not as happy-go-lucky, cozy feels.
Well, I can't believe I thought it was a kid's book for a good while. It was like, whoa, that's
not a kid's book. I can see why you think that. I'd say it definitely is a YA novel.
Yeah.
It's definitely YA, and like not really coming of age because I think Vic is like 20-something in the book.
22, I think.
Yeah, so it's
22.
not really coming of age, but it sort of is at the same time because he hasn't interacted with other people.
I think it's, and I think Hap is coming of age because he was like learning. I thought,
he's
okay, Vic is creating a toddler. Yeah. Why? And I was like, welcome to our world.
Yeah, that's what I was like, well, now you know how it was when you were growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely funny, the whole Y phase. I was like, wow, what a Y phase.
Like, I will shower with you. You may drown. There is water.
Yeah, that was actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Most of those situations were fantastic.
I couldn't tell how much Hap was joking or not, because he does.
I don't think early on he was. I don't.
No, but then afterwards he said the same sort of things, but you could tell he was definitely joking because he would do some little weird like wink or eye roll or just grin. Yeah. He's like, hey, I'm messing with you now. Or he'd be like, that is a joke. Haha. Yeah. That's how I do it too. That's how I do my humor. I say, that is a joke right after everything I do. Honestly, I have to sometimes because people just don't get my brilliant humor. Like, no. This is a joke.
Yeah. I think that's what made Nurse Ratched so funny for me is like, she's so dry and she would say stuff and I'm just like, what? Like, wasn't ready. I should have been prepared for it after like, I don't know, the first 2 or 3 chapters, but it was just like, I never was. And it always caught me off guard. And so I was just always laughing. So I was like, oh yeah, but you're right. Yeah. It was pretty cringy after a while. Like, and it wasn't always, some of it was really well timed. I think like comedic humor, just like to lighten everything. But some of it, I was like, well, we didn't have to have it, but it was still like, oh, okay, there was another one.
Yeah, I thought the most thing was like the sex jokes were kind of dumb. I did like the engaging empathy protocol. And then she's like, there, you are a good boy. You are a good patient. Here, have a lollipop.
The best patient.
Error.
Yeah, the error.
The lollipop.
Lollipop dispenser is empty.
We really must get treats. Yeah, she's very funny. And Rambo, a lot of his stuff, he's such a little nugget.
He is sweet. I mean, he's like a puppy.
Yeah.
He's like a talking puppy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much exactly.
Cleaning up everything on the floor and being goofy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I think is a little disappointing about the book? I really did want it to just stay in the forest and just be there the whole time. I would have been fine with that. I think it probably would have been a little bit better if they just did that instead of having this like great big journey and having Geo get kidnapped. I mean, they do effectively, quote unquote, change the world at the end, but you don't see anything from it. So it felt like a lot of the trip and stuff was unnecessary. I feel like they could have just done, I don't know, something happened to Geo if they wanted to do that, and they had to go, I don't know, just try to fix him, or Hap could have relapsed into something and they had to like work through all that stuff. I don't know. It felt like there could have been done differently as like a smaller scope of book, and I think it would have been better. Like the other 2 books, Under the Whispering Door takes place in a house, and that's it, right? Mm-hmm. For the most part. And the same thing with like House in the Cerulean Sea. That's in a single location. Then they visit one other location briefly for the climax and maybe one other time, but it's just like across the water, you know. Yeah,
it's pretty much the same location because I mean it is like
it's the town that they have to go shopping in from the island. Yeah. I don't know. I felt like the scope was too big for what it was, and it wasn't fleshed out enough for it to be.
This was like an epic journey.
Yeah.
Like major epic journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it would have been better in the forest too. Like, I don't know. I thought it would have been cool if they had like even just left Geo, like thinking, well, I mean, he's not recoverable at this point. Like he's ripped his heart out, whatever, and broken it, like whatever. I was kind of surprised that it didn't take the heart to try and figure out, like, even if he destroyed it, like, I figured they would have taken that and not Geo. That one was kind of, like, weird.
Oh, yeah. The robots didn't take the heart. That was so weird.
Yeah. I feel like if they had done that, and then, you know, they had Geo back, like, you know, Vic was able to make him another heart, and then maybe they could all go on that adventure or something. But I don't know. I thought it was just a little bit weird that they took Geo and not the heart that Geo made. Like,
maybe they didn't realize what it was?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
I haven't got to that part.
For me,
now I'll be looking for the answers.
I was kind of just like, whenever that happened, I was a little bit like, well, that doesn't make much sense, but okay.
Yeah. I think that's most of the stuff I had to talk about. I was reading online, a lot of people had the same sort of complaints about the jokes and stuff. Some people had complaints about like the romance that's happening between Hap and Vic. I'm not sure if you guys. Well, okay.
Oh,
Mom,
yeah.
you haven't picked up on that.
There's already hints.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's already hints. Yeah. So I couldn't remember at that point of the book whether it was or not. I don't know. It seemed weird, just the romance in general. And I don't think it's just because Vic was ace. I don't think that matters at all. It seemed a little strange. And it felt like it was more of a, well, this is the only other person who's even remotely like me who I'm talking to, so obviously I'm going to have a crush on them type of deal.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't blame somebody for that.
No.
It's like, my gosh.
It's realistic. It just wasn't, I don't think, as compelling as some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
No, I'm going to say this also. I liked this book a decent chunk, despite the fact that I'm like talking trash about it a lot. I give it probably 4 stars.
Yeah.
I think. It was a good book.
Love it. I love it so far. So yeah, I think we all know how I am with 5 stars, but it's going to get a 5-star.
So far, I really like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I did enjoy it. Apparently, I just read this. I'm not entirely sure that this is true. I'm going to verify. Apparently, TJ Klune is asexual. He is.
That's pretty cool. The thing I did like about the romance aspect is that you don't see ace representation a whole lot. So it was like, it didn't have, you kind of knew off the bat you weren't going to have like sexual attention. It was just going to be like, like, I like you and I don't know what to do about that. Like, you know what I mean? And I thought that was kind of cool because that's probably one of my least favorite things about any romance is just like, oh, great. So now we're just going to have sexual attention the whole time. Like, well.
Yeah.
I don't think you've read a good romance.
I just don't like that.
I'm not a big fan of romance, but I do enjoy romances in books if they're done well.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
I don't think I've read an actual romance I've enjoyed. But I don't know that I've actually read a legitimate romance before.
Okay, when it's my next one, I'm picking one.
All right, you pick one, Mama.
I will pick one.
I've read some like hot garbage stuff that portrays itself as maybe romance, but is actually just smut, and that's awful.
No.
It's like we may have to read a Nora Roberts, one of the older ones.
I would be down to read a Nora Roberts. I've been wanting to read one for a long time.
I think I'll be okay with that, yeah.
Good stories. I mean, it's a good story.
I think I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, just let us know. It's going to be.
I mean, there is that tension, and there's like the fighting. It's like typical.
Yeah.
Formulaic almost, but it's believable too.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I said that. Like, usually if you get like sexual tension in books like this, it's like that's all there is.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not there's no longer like the actual story and like the plot line. And that's what I don't like. Once you get it, that's all you focus on. Yeah. And that's like that's not what I care about. Like I'm sure people out there do, but
it's Christina V. Hannon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm like, oh, this is even too much for me. I can't do this.
Yeah.
You got to read one of these awful books that we had to read at the beginning of the year. That'll really put stuff in perspective for you about what people are liking nowadays and how garbage it is.
Oh, gosh.
I don't mean to be like a book elitist here, but people need to be reading better books. I'm just saying.
At least mix it up a little bit, right?
No, like my biggest, we've talked about this, I think a couple of times, is like that ACOTAR is like your favorite romance novel. Oh my God, no, please don't.
And favorite fantasy novel too. It's just like, what?
Go elsewhere. There is so much more out there, man. Like you can get way better. I just can't.
Given this,
if you think this is good, try this.
Yeah.
I know this is like sort of side railing a little bit, but given this sort of discussion, we've been talking about coming up with a new thing to do on the podcast. This is actually Chantel's idea, and I'm just like shilling it out here now. I want to see what the audience thinks. We're probably going to do it anyway, but I want to know what you guys think. And that is debunking book talk books, right? So we're going to read one of the book talk books that are super popular and talk about it, whether it's good or bad. I imagine bad because all the ones I've read or been somewhat interested in have been pretty bad. And I'm reading The Fourth Wing here soon, so that's going to be one of them. But I figured we might start off with something like ACOTAR since it's so popular.
I don't want to read it again.
I mean, you have to read it again. I'll need to read it.
The way you guys have talked about it, I don't want to read it.
No. We got to read it, Mama. You got to hate read things. You hate read it.
The first book is basically like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast.
I am almost 60. I only have so many years left. Why would I waste
Because when you get to hate read stuff, then you get to complain about it with other people.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. That's why you do it.
It's kind of fun. Yeah.
So I endure 15 hours of something I hate so I can like have an hour of
No. It's not just an hour.
That
This is the rest of the time for the podcast. We're going to be talking about how awful
forever.
it is. Just occasionally we'll drop little hints. We'll have the episode, and then later on we'll have another little mention. It's like, oh man, do you remember in ACOTAR when it was like this? And it's like, yeah, it was miserable. I loved it.
And we'll all groan, roll our eyes.
Yeah, see, that's what it is. This is something that you plant the seed for the rest of your life that you're going to be talking about this stupid book.
It's like if I say I lost.
Oh, good God. Okay, listeners, if you don't know what this is, don't look it up. It's stupid.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I will say nothing. And there's many eye rolls out there.
The screams that happened.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Is this really the way we want to go? Is it?
I think it would be fun because my main thing is if the podcast does become big, I want people to understand that there are better books out there than the ones that they're
really
reading from Book Talk. And I don't know why those are so popular. I really don't understand it.
I really think it's just the whole, viral thing. It's almost like, I don't know, are they actually influencers before they go viral? Virus? I mean, kind of, yeah. I mean, it's a literature virus. We hate it. But yeah,
it's not great, yeah.
That's what Ariel and I are in some ACOTAR unpopular opinion groups on Facebook, and we join them literally so we can, heckle people who actually like the books. Unpopular opinion, we hate it. But yeah, that a lot of the memes from people who hate certain aspects that are definitely hate-worthy are hilarious. And along the lines, I sent a video in our group chat last night of let me see, it's these two guys laughing in a forest, and it's what's the two brothers in Twilight, not Edward, but it's
Jacob. No, Jacob.
Not Jacob.
No, the two brothers that are
the older. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Let me go back up here. It's Emmett and Jasper in the forest, listening to Edward say, "This is the skin of a killer, Bella," and they're laughing so hard, knocking into each other, just can't breathe. I was like, you know what? That's the kind of memes I like for terrible books, because it's legit. You think about stuff like that. I don't even, there's a lot of stuff like that in ACOTAR, and Ariel and I tag each other in it, and we laugh forever, because how do people love these characters so much? And then polarized against similar characters, specifically Reese and Tamlin, it's they're not really the same, but they do a lot of similar things whenever Feyre is I don't know, in a really bad spot. And it's everybody hates Tamlin, but they love Reese because he ends up being the love interest. And it's he literally manipulated her whenever she was very vulnerable. How do you not see that? I don't understand. It's 50 Shades of Grey. That's not.
Well, that's just Twilight fanfic.
Yeah, no, it is.
I didn't like Twilight.
Oh
my God. I think I read it because we were having a program on it, and Ariel was like, "Oh, it's so great," because she was at the age to have it be so great.
The thing is, it's a book for teenage girls, and the teenage girls loved it. That's just the thing.
And it was all I could do to get through the first 4 chapters because I wanted to gag Bella.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, she's miserably annoying.
I never read Twilight. I watched the movies. All of my friends in college were obsessed whenever the movies came out, so I went and watched it with them, and I was like, I'm so glad I never read this.
The books were worse. And that's something I don't think I've ever said.
Oh, God, yeah. I'm glad I never read them, because I don't think I would have made it through. I don't think I would have made it through the first one. That would have been my first not finish ever.
Yeah, they're not great. So, actually, on this topic, I went to Forks last week with Chantel.
Oh, did you?
And because of that, she said we had to watch all the Twilight movies.
Don't do it, man.
No, I did it. I did it. I watched all of them.
Oh, my God.
No.
Over the course of a week, all 5 movies. The third one is the only one that is even remotely redeemable. The other ones are so... You know what is the worst part? So, it's not even that they're, like, especially bad. Some of the dialogue is bad. And some of the just
the
what
acting
happens.
is horrible.
The acting is really bad. And, you know, it's really sad because I think it's not the acting itself. I think it's the direction because, especially Robert Pattinson, he's a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
Holy
really
hell,
is.
he's good.
He hated that, though. Like, he hated that role. He would go on, like, interviews and just be like, I don't know why. I don't know why we're still doing these. I don't understand.
But no, I mean, the main issue with the movies is that they're just so boring.
Mhm.
The whole time, nothing happens in the books. in the movies. Like, the first one, some stuff happens. It's boring for 85% of it. The second one, boring the entire time. The third one is okay. The fourth one is boring because nothing happens in it at all. And then the fifth one, you get to this like actually epic fun part, and it's
The
fake.
fight?
It's all fake. Yeah.
The fight, oh my God.
Apparently, it's even worse in the book. I didn't read the book, obviously. But
I was so mad over that because I thought, finally, there's going to be something, and, you know, some people will die, and that will be okay. I mean, I was literally, like, hyped up for this fight, and it was, like, the worst letdown ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really bad. But, so I went there. I got a t-shirt.
Oh, no. If that's going to happen, we just won't fight.
Oh my
We'll
God.
come to an agreement. It's like, I hated it. I hate it.
Dumb.
Hated it.
Well, in the movie, have you seen the movie, Mama?
Yes.
Yeah, where it's just like the whole thing is fake. It's just a vision.
Yes. Yeah. Well, basically, it's not much different in the book.
Well, in the book, they don't even have the vision, do they? It's just they talk and then it's over.
Well, no, I think she shows them what will happen, the outcome,
Oh, yeah.
like mentally. But it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I was hoping at least in the movie there would be like,
Something. No, they could have changed it up a little bit and it would have been better, but they
God, it
didn't.
was awful.
One death.
But no, yeah, I went there. I took a
Can I
picture of
pick?
like the sign.
Can I pick?
Got a
You took a picture of
t-shirt. The sign, the Welcome to Forks sign.
Oh,
Took a picture
okay.
of that. Got a t-shirt that says, it's a Team Jacob type t-shirt because I'm Team Jacob.
I mean, same.
Because Edward is too creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, the creepiest.
He's super creepy.
Yeah.
It's like that demon book I read. My God, it made me so angry.
Yeah.
Thought she
Also,
was
I'm just going to say
16
it's
and
super weird.
Googling.
I know this is like not a hot take. It's super weird that like he's 90 something years old and she is 17 at the beginning of the first book. That's just
I
weird.
thought he was older than that.
He might be over 100, but he's not like, he's old is the point. He's old.
Yeah.
Not a spring chicken.
No. And I don't know about you. I can't even deal with teenagers at my age.
No way.
No.
No way.
Especially in that, there's like, no.
No, definitely not. It's so weird. And I don't know why people thought that would be okay. I don't know why Stephanie Meyer thought that would be okay. But, you know, whatever, I guess. Maybe he just never mentally matured because his brain never developed the rest of the way.
Maybe not. That's the best theory.
But
that's actually a
That's
good
not
theory.
how it was framed, though.
No.
Like, the whole time he was like, I'm so serious because I'm old. Well, what are you doing then? I don't, like, why are you here hitting on this child? I don't...
Literally a child.
Yep.
Yeah, I just can't
And
rectify
a
it.
spoiled, rotten child.
Oh
with
my
issues.
gosh.
Yeah.
With
But
no
he couldn't
emotional
rem-
capacity.
He couldn't read her mind, so she was so interesting.
Blah.
Yeah.
Gross. Yeah, no. I don't know. I just
It's bad.
don't understand.
Yep. Point is, there's good books out there. If people
There
are telling
are. This
you
one's
that
good.
this one is good. If people are telling you that the books you're reading are bad, and it's like a general consensus, maybe you should try to branch out to different books. Maybe. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum. You know, if you like the book, you like the book. That's great. I'm just saying there are other better things that you could be reading.
It's like if you like that, then you'll really like
Yes.
Exactly. Here's
Yeah,
an example
agreed.
of this done well. You know, that type of
Yeah.
thing.
Maybe not phrase it like
No, maybe not.
if they really liked it.
Here's what you like, but better.
Like, if you like this, you should try this. I don't actually know what you should try if
Yeah.
you like Akatar.
Honestly, for me, I think a better
nonfiction, something is
yeah. But so Carrie Maniscalco did Stalking Jack the Ripper, and I loved that series. You want to talk about like a really done really well done, like sexual tension, like relationship building, like that whole series is really well done. And then she did like another series is called New Adult, Not Young Adult. So it's like spicier, which is what ACOTAR is supposed to be. It's like a new adult because it's very spicy. And it's called Kingdom of the Wicked. That one I feel like is way better done. Like all of it, everything. The spicy in it, the tension in it, the storyline. She's it takes place in old Italy, and they're witches, and obviously, you know, witches aren't like the best thing to be, so it's all secret, whatever. And the whole thing is she accidentally summons a demon trying to find the killer of her sister, and everything that happens from there is really cool. It's suspenseful, all that stuff. I loved it. I love the characters. I think she is a fantastic world builder and character builder. I like the characters. You hate who you're supposed to hate, and sometimes you end up loving them because, you know, villain sympathizer, but like they're well done villains. They're well done. Like, you know who you want to root for, no matter like if you're supposed to or not. And for me, yeah, way better than ACOTAR. Like, way better. I loved those books.
I don't either.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, that is a good one. I didn't like book 2 as much, but you know, that was just me, I think.
Did you read book 3?
I haven't gotten there yet, no.
Okay.
I've finished book 2 though. I think
book 1 is a fine standalone, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I really loved book 1. And book 2 was not bad until we got to the whole thing when, like, she's being tricked and, like, manipulated by somebody else. And that just made me so mad because she's so untrustworthy, like, untrusting of other people. I can't believe that she would just willingly and so easily believe somebody that she doesn't know. And that for me was like, no way. No, I'm mad about this.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this a lot.
I did. I had a lot of big feelings about it. I still have them, apparently.
Okay. I think we're basically out of time. It's over an hour now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It was a good book far, anyway.
Fantastic book.
I can only imagine I'll just love the rest of it.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah, definitely read this book. Read his other books. I think they're even better. This was pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot.
So our next episode, we will be having a book chat. And after that, we will be discussing Zach's nonfiction pick, which was, remind me again, Zach.
Terry Pratchett, A Life with Footnotes, the official biography.
Okay, thank you. And then we will have Chase Robertson on. And if you haven't checked out his poetry yet, you really should. We have The Positive Side of Negative Thoughts and Casualties of Life and Love. So we will be having him on to discuss that, but we will also be talking about his writing process for the fantasy fiction book he is writing. And we've all read the first draft, and which is really good. Highly recommend. I can't wait for you guys to get it. Yeah, I know. Like, we're not really going to talk about it, but yeah, we will discuss how he came up with a lot of stuff, or how, like, what he thought about writing all of it. Yeah. So.
I don't know how I can not talk about some of it though, because this is really good.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. None whatsoever. But yeah, that will be what we have the next couple of weeks. So we hope you enjoyed today's episode. And we want you to remember that only the best libraries have librarians who won't shush you.